Hey, we're just going live. We're going to be talking to Neil Patel in a moment here. Just realizing that I'm actually live. This is great. Hi. Hi. Here we go.
Just waiting for Neil to join us. Hey, there you are.
Hey, how are you?
Awesome, awesome. Good to see you.
Good to see me or good to see you as well.
Yeah. I'll just do a little quick intro for our audience here. So I'm sure they are all more familiar with you than me. For those of you who don't know or need a reminder, Neil Patel is a New York Times bestselling author and entrepreneur. Forbes says he's one of the top 10 marketers, and Entrepreneur magazine says he created one of the 100 most brilliant companies. He wears a lot of hats, and today we'll be talking about how to build a high conversion community through digital education content. Welcome, Neil. Great to see you here. And then for those of you who don't know me, because I don't jump on and do these lives that often, it's Greg Smith, CEO of Thinkific. Welcome, Neil. So awesome to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
So I'm curious. I know we're going to just dive right in. So this is awesome. But I'm curious on your thoughts on when looking at online education and teaching and the online education and content space. Where do you kind of see that balance between focusing on, say, marketing and conversion versus on, say, the delivery of value? And I know sort of there may be even an old guard there that was much more about, it's all about just the launch and the sale. But there's obviously so much more focus now, even now, on the fulfillment, the delivery, the value add. How do you kind of even split your time, your thinking, or what are your viewpoints between the split between focusing on marketing and conversion and delivering results and value?
Yeah, so me personally, I spend around 60–70% of the time on the content, at least. And that's when you're creating the product, getting it out there. Over time, once it's launched, you keep revamping it. So eventually what we see is you spend 80+% of the time on the content side, because once you create the content, it's not like you don't ever update it, right? But the minority of the time is on the marketing. And the reason being is if your product is amazing, where you do really well in online education is not selling one course. You make money by selling multiple courses, multiple products, multiple upsells, downsells, memberships, etc. If you have crap products, you're just not going to do well in the long run.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that plays really well into the concept, that flywheel concept of people come in, they get value, and they speak to the value they got from you, and that really builds a long-term community of value. Whereas I really don't see people being very successful with maybe the way of only focusing on the marketing and not on delivering the value, because there's too much transparency now in the world that gets figured out very, very quickly. And even doing the affiliate launches and stuff, if you're in that world, it's hard to get affiliates to promote something that they know isn't going to provide a ton of value, or there isn't proof of that value to their audience. So I love that sort of 80-20 rule that you've got of spending a lot more time on the value side. I'm curious how you see, you kind of mentioned building the community and having more products to deliver and sell, upsells, downsells, cross more products. How do you look at community and building your community around what you're teaching?
So the way I look at the community is if you do what's best for them and you try to help them, like just go above and beyond. It's like when you see people selling courses and memberships, a lot of times they'll be like, oh, we got this Facebook group that you can end up joining. We're here to help out. And then it stays active for the first week or two. But after that, no one's really communicating. No one's really helping each other out. And eventually after a month or two, it dies down. So what I look at community is, and the reason it dies down is people just aren't getting the value. It's not just about answering people's questions when they have questions. It's how do you go above and beyond and help them succeed? So is it holding their hands? Is it jumping on phone calls? Is it doing group training? There's a lot of different variables that you can end up choosing from. But if you go really above and beyond and help them get to their end goal, then you're much more likely to help them truly succeed, build that community, build that word of mouth where other people join, and then they're much more likely to buy other products and services from you. In other words, you're just delighting them.
Right. Yeah, I love that. And so is there one big mistake or something you see people making trying to build community? Is it that not engaging and not focusing on delight and help, or is there another big mistake you see people make when trying to build?
Yeah, the big one that we're seeing is it ends up coming down to, hey, are you just responding to them whenever they have a question, or are you being proactive? And that's the big thing. Most people look at community building as when someone has a question, you just respond. And that's not the case. I look at that as reactive and not proactive.
Interesting. Yeah. So you're diving in and trying to foresee, the needs that they have.
And if you end up being more reactive or proactive versus reactive, you just tend to do a lot better. And that's how I built my community over the years. You know, I've done launches where I've sold info products, and I kid you not, it does over $1 million without affiliates. And it's why? It's because I'm proactive with my community. I try to figure out where they need help. That doesn't just mean phone calls and group training sessions. I'm talking about, let's say if I'm selling marketing related products, if I know there's changes coming up with Google's algorithm, I'll talk about them and I'll notify people in advance and tell them, here's what you should do. That may not be part of any paid course. It's just education and helping them. So then when I do have amazing content that's in a course format, and then I tell them about it, they're much more likely to buy and then continually buy because my free stuff is also really good and helpful, and it's very quote unquote proactive.
Right. I like that. So you're even looking for trends and things that they're not going to ask about. Maybe they don't even know to ask about, because you're in that unique position of being the expert and doing the research. You're building that up and then bringing it to them and say, here's something you should be aware of that you might not even be asking about.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm curious, just thinking about video. So video has always been a pretty big part of always the last few years anyway, of the online learning and content space. Where do you see that now? I know, you kind of mentioned, obviously there is group coaching, and there's, people have the PDFs and quizzes and other interactive components. How do you see video fitting in now and going into the future? Is it still sort of the biggest piece? Is it the biggest piece for you? Are you still looking at video as primary?
I do. I look at video as being the primary way to communicate. People love it. They engage way more with video than they do with text or audio or even the group training. We love the video for that reason. And the other thing too is it almost replicates a classroom style, because you can go on video and then you can also share screen or show certain things or edit the video to have any information that you're educating on, and it does really well. And I look at that classroom format because the concept of college isn't bad. The problem with college is you're taught antiquated information. The books are old, the information's old. The amount of times that I get professors in schools requesting the authorization so they can use my quote unquote free information, my blog content in their curriculum is crazy, right? Literally, we get so many requests every single year, like dozens and dozens just from universities in the United States. And that format works well. The issue with colleges is, though, it's just outdated information. That's the beautiful part about online. You don't have to pay $40,000 for outdated information. You can get it online for $100, $1,000, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And you're getting it right then and there. And you only get the information that you need. If I'm going to focus my career on marketing, I don't really need to take all these classes on chemistry. Yeah, it's good to know something about chemistry, but not really going to help me get to where I want in my career.
Awesome. I could ask you a couple of more questions, but just to remind everyone here, we've got you can join us to learn more about all of this stuff at Thinkific's Amplify event coming up soon. Check out thinkific.com/amplify, and you can grab your ticket and join us there. Within the video piece, I know you mentioned group calls and stuff, and especially with COVID and Zoom taking off, we're seeing more and more people doing live. We've done a big integration with Zoom where we're doing a lot more on the live side. How do you balance the pre-recorded versus the live components, or how do you see that? Is live for you more about marketing? Is it about the group coaching? Where are you seeing and utilizing live versus the pre-recorded?
Yeah, so we look at pre-recorded as on demand. Make it so people can get whatever information they need to be successful on demand. The live is how can you go above and beyond to really help people, right? That's again being proactive. And what we look at the mix as, if you can go live 15 to 20% of the time, you're going to have much higher success from what we're seeing with our audience than if you don't go live. And here's why. I'm not necessarily talking about generating more income. I'm talking about success as in the people who are signing up are actually going to get more value and get the results that they're looking for. Because the biggest problem with anything in the info space is it's not actually selling. That's not the hardest part. The hardest part is actually getting people to take action on whatever they just purchased. And we found that when you go live, people are much more likely to take action and get the results. And even if that doesn't make you more money in the short run, that's okay. It's all about playing the long game and putting people first and making sure they're accomplishing their goals.
Right. So you still got all the on-demand stuff, but going live is often about getting people to take action and saying, because, and I couldn't agree more, right? You often get people, they buy the big on-demand program and then motivation sets in, right? Or lack thereof.
Yes.
And so but then when they see, hey, Neil's going live, they can jump in with you, and that you can give them a little kick in the butt to hop into the on-demand and keep taking action.
Exactly. And that's what we end up doing, right? We're big on like, hey, how can you push a lot of people to go live so that way they can take action? And when we do live, we don't want to just repeat or regurgitate the same information in the on-demand stuff. We'll reference it, but we'll also give them enough that they need to be successful. So for example, if going live and telling someone, hey, check out this module and go watch this, you can do that, but that's not as effective as just telling them exactly what they need to do if even in the future, if they don't ever check out the modules. So the key is to just give them the information right then and there, not necessarily regurgitate the same as on-demand, but give them the steps that they need to take to achieve what they're looking for live without ever having to go back to on-demand. Because what we find is when you go live and you tell them, hey, go check out this module, go check out that, most people don't do it. But if you just tell them it right then and there during the live session, they're much more likely to be successful.
Good point. Okay. So give them enough to actually execute and get some value there.
Yep.
Love that. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, anything else I've missed that you wanted to share? Thoughts? I know we were just going to hop on and do a quick 15 minutes. We're getting close to that. So just wanted to open the door. Reminder to everyone, if you want more of this, come join us January 25th and 26th for Thinkific Amplify, thinkific.com/amplify. Neil, any other comments you want to share that you think are super important for people getting into the space or in it and looking to take it just a little bit closer to the level you're at?
Yeah, the last thing is don't spend 3 to 6 months creating a course. Get it out there as quick as possible, get feedback, and then continually iterate. Just because you have an idea of what people want, it may not be what they really want. And the only way you're going to know is just to get it out there.
Love it. It's funny. That's the number one thing I tell people too, is like, and when I started my own online course, and this was, 2005, 2006, I was going to do the 6-month thing, and I was lucky. My brother said to me, he's like, you've got 30 days and I'm launching it. Whatever you got's going live. And he was the one who had control over the software. So it was like, he gave me that one shot of the kick in the butt of, you got 30 days and then I'm launching it.
And that's the best way to do it, because you can always go back and make it better. And then you can even email people saying, hey, I just updated it, go check it out. And you'll get people watching and update, and they love it. That keeps people around more and more too. Yeah.
And it was exactly what you said happened, is that I had a vision of what I wanted to do in 6 months. I did a much smaller version. And then when I launched it, people enjoyed it, but the feedback told me that 6 months would have been a waste of my time. I would have been going down the wrong path, and it allowed me to tweak what I was doing and deliver something that was way more valuable. So I love that advice of just getting something out there and then getting that feedback on it.
Yep. And it's also the last piece of advice I have for you guys is don't create something that's too long. If it takes someone 3 months to consume or 5 or 6 months to consume the information, that's too long. The quicker they can consume it, forget whatever price you're charging. People believe if you charge more, you have to have more material. It's the value you're providing. It's not necessarily how long the course has to be. If they can get that value within a few weeks or a week or a month, that's great. When people start dragging out to 3 months for someone to consume all the information, it's just too long.
100%. Yeah, no one's paying just to consume your content. They're paying to get the results you promised. And if you can deliver those results in 5 minutes, I mean, that's a tough one to do, but if you can deliver results in 5 minutes, arguably you should be able to charge more, right?
Exactly.
I can help you lose 100 pounds in 5 minutes. Who wouldn't pay for that? Or lots of people would pay for that, right? So, yeah, I think if you, not just saying you should make those promises, but if you can deliver on it, the faster you can do, it's actually the better.
Totally agree.
Uh, awesome. I really appreciate it, Neil. Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully you and I get to chat again soon. Thanks. I know the audience here appreciated your helpful tips and wisdoms, and Neil's got some amazing stuff and does a lot of helpful things for people out there. And as he's shared, I think he lives the advice that he's giving. So learn from him. And if you want to continue learning, check us out, thinkific.com/amplify, coming up January 25th and 26th.
See you then.
Thanks. See you then.